Hey everyone, and Happy New Year. As we all kick off another year, have you ever actually stopped to think about what January 1st is really all about? I mean, beyond just flipping the calendar. It turns out this day holds this really profound, often overlooked meaning, and we're going to dive right into it.
So, let's start with this central question. For millions of Christians all over the world, New Year's Day is a major holy day. But why? The answer, I promise you, is probably not what you're thinking.
Because honestly, it has very little to do with resolutions or a new calendar. The real reason is all about solving a nearly 2,000-year-old mystery that gets to the very heart of who Jesus Christ is. And to solve that mystery, we've got to start with a title. Now, it's a title that was given to Mary, but here's the twist. It was fundamentally about defining Jesus himself. That title is Theotokos. It's a Greek word, pronounced Theotokos, and it means God-bearer, or to put it more simply, Mother of God. This one single word, this is the key that unlocks the entire meaning of celebrating on January 1st.
Okay, so here's the crucial distinction, and this is where it gets really interesting. The common assumption is that calling Mary the Mother of God is all about honoring her. And look, it absolutely does that. But its primary theological purpose, the real reason it became so important, was to say something definitive about Jesus.
And this quote just nails it. By affirming Mary as Theotokos, the early church was making this incredibly powerful statement about Christology, the study of who Christ is. They were basically shouting from the rooftops that the baby she carried wasn't just some holy guy who later became divine. No, he was one person, fully God and fully human, right from the very first moment. So you might be asking, how did this idea become such a big deal? Well, it was forged in the fire of this massive, intense debate that just raged in the 4th and 5th centuries. And this wasn't just some academic squabble. This was a high-stakes conflict over the very heart of the Christian faith. But the idea itself didn't come out of nowhere. The foundation for it goes way, way back. In the New Testament, you have St. Paul writing that God's Son was born of a woman. And that simple phrase, born of a woman, became an absolute cornerstone, emphasizing that the eternal Son of God really truly entered our world through Mary. And you can actually see how this whole thing built over time. By the 4th century, celebrating Mary as Theotokos was already a pretty popular devotion, especially in the East. But the real turning point was in 431 AD. That's when the Council of Ephesus made it official, formally affirming the title to settle that huge debate once and for all. Then, a couple centuries later, Rome formally set January 1st as the date for this big celebration. So the council's decision was crystal clear. Jesus isn't a human person and a divine person kind of mashed together in one body. No, he is one single, unified person who is both fully God and fully man. And the feast on January 1st, it celebrates that very truth. All right, so that brings us from ancient history right up to the holiday we know today. How exactly did this profound theological decision lead to a celebration on the very first day of the new year? Well, the date is packed with symbolism. First off, January 1st is exactly 8 days after Christmas. That's a direct callback to the ancient Jewish custom of circumcising and naming a male child on his 8th day. It also beautifully completes what's called the octave of Christmas, a full 8 days of celebration. And finally, it's a way to strategically place the start of every new year under the protection of the woman who said yes to God. Okay, so that's the history. But what's the takeaway for us? I mean, why does a theological idea from over 1,500 years ago still matter today? What's the relevance? Well, it really boils down to 4 key takeaways. First, God came close. This feast is a powerful reminder that God isn't some distant, abstract force. He actually entered our world and shares in our humanity. Second, a courageous yes. It shines a spotlight on Mary's incredible trust, showing how one person's cooperation with God can literally change the course of human history. Third, human dignity. I mean, think about it. If God valued humanity enough to become one of us, then every single human life has profound, immeasurable worth. And finally, fourth, a call to peace. It presents Mary as this incredible model for how to bring true, lasting peace into the world. And that theme of peace, it has a very modern connection. Get this. In 1967, Pope Paul VI officially designated January 1st as the World Day of Peace, linking this ancient feast directly to a contemporary prayer for harmony in our world. Pretty cool, right? But
When you get right down to it, Mary's example isn't one of grand speeches or big proclamations. It's one of quiet trust. The scriptures tell us she kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. It's just a really powerful model for how we can respond to the incredible and, let's be honest, sometimes confusing ways God moves in our own lives.
So, as you head into this new year, the Feast of January Thirsts really leaves us with this provocative question. It reminds us that God chose to enter human history through the willing cooperation of just one person. And it makes you wonder, if her yes could change everything, what could ours?